Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet. Shanvatam swakatah Krishna punyashravana kirtana hridayantastoha bhadrani vidunoti suhritsatam. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttamashloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya Namaste Jaste Jase Avir Bhava Vajranaka Vajjadam Shtakarmasayan Randaya Randaya Tamo Grasa Grasa Om Swaha Abhayam Abhayam Atmani Bhuishtaha Om Shraum Namo Namo Aniruddhaya Hishikeshendriyatmane Namah Paramahamsaya Purnaya Nibritatmane Swarga Pavarga Dvaraya Nityam Suchi Sade Namah Namah Hiranya Viryaya Chaturhotraya Tantave. Hare Krishna. So we are proceeding in the line of discussions for the last few days, and we wanted to offer a little bit of, I would say, insight into Sambandha Gyan, which is the three stages, Sambandha, three parts, which is Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana. And we wanted to talk about Sambandha, and we chose the Chatushloki of Srimad Bhagavatam yesterday, because the Chatushloki of Srimad Bhagavatam establishes the need for Sambandha Gyan. It establishes very clearly that there is need for understanding Krishna. Then Krishna is also making a mention that this is my Prakriti, this is my material nature. There's a need to understand the relationship between Krishna's internal potency and himself and Krishna's external potency in himself. So there is a need for understanding the interrelationship between the jiva. There's a need for understanding Krishna. There's a need for understanding Maya. So this is Sambandha Gyan. This entire combination of interrelationships is Sambandha Gyan. And when one understands Sambandha Gyan, we also spoke about it yesterday, that one cannot tackle material energy on the material platform whilst practicing devotional service. A devotee needs to understand that material energy is Krishna's energy and needs to be tackled by surrendering to Krishna. And as a consequence, what is surrender? We have addressed it in several sessions. Surrender is accepting the instructions of the Acharyas, leaving aside our goals and accepting the instructions of the Acharyas and the goals of the Acharyas as our goals. If they have given us 5 important practices of practicing bhakti, if they are telling us that sadhu sangha, sadhu sangha, namasmaran, namakirtan, bhagavat shravana, Sri Murti sevaya, and mathuravas, if these are 5 main goals of a practicing devotee, and these are the 5 main tenets of sadhana bhakti as given by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and our previous acharyas, then we make that our goal. In other words, surrender is also aligning ourselves completely with the desires of the advanced devotees, walking in the footsteps of those who are leading us. Yeah? Walking in the footsteps of Shastra. This is surrender. So we have to realign ourselves and realign our objectives, and this is a form of surrender. So basically, when we start surrendering to the objectives of our predecessor acharyas, we start surrendering to the objectives of Shastra, Sadhu, and Guru, then automatically we are on the path of being protected by Krishna. Then there is an opportunity for us to be able to control the material circumstances through the mercy of Krishna, and as a consequence we are able to practice bhakti and then proceed on to prema bhakti, going through different stages. So this was the conclusion. In other words, we can't solve problems. Material problems are not material problems for those who are on a spiritual path. Problems for us are directly related to our sadhana. So our problems are distinctly related to spiritual aspects. If we fix the spiritual aspect, if we align the internal with external, if we align the internal, external with Sadhu, Shastra and Guru, then we are on the path. And as a consequence, there's a greater level of freedom in this world for us to be able to act according to the desires of the Guru and desires of sadhus. So this is very important to understand Krishna Sambandha. Behavior in our society is abhideya. Behavior is required because the natural characteristics and the natural traits of a Vaishnava in relationship to other Vaishnavas, in relationship to Krishna, is Abhideya. How can we serve Krishna without other devotees? How can there be seva without Vaishnava cooperation? There cannot be seva without Vaishnava cooperation, because it is Vaishnava mixing with Vaishnava, they serve together. In Vraja, do we really see Krishna and one person serving? No. In Vraja, it's a group of devotees, and there are several groups of devotees, and there are all kinds of cooperation and services, and all kinds of wonderful arrangements are being made in Vraja for the pleasure of the divine couple. So this is also quite natural that we have to acclimatize ourselves to cooperation amongst the devotees. What does this mean? It means that fundamentally, Abhideya, which follows Sambandha, and then which finally leads to Prayojana, which is the goal, which is Krishna Prema, is directly dependent on Krishna Sambandha. Because we don't understand Krishna, it is because we have forgotten Krishna, and then our conditioned state is such that we have come in touch with material energy, and we have assumed that this particular state is original, this is the normal state. This particular Sambandha Gyan, or very, very little knowledge of Krishna and a relationship, causes problems in our relationships with devotees as well. Because there is no Sambandha with Krishna, or there is very minimal Sambandha, there's also a poor relationship with the devotees of Krishna, because it's natural. It is Sambandha. Krishna Sambandha leads to Sambandha with devotees as well. It's a very simple, straightforward philosophy. It's a very simple, straightforward philosophy. If we don't understand Krishna, then how do we understand his devotees? So it's basically a level of Sambandha is what is talked about here. Yeah? So Sambandha Gyan being poor, faith being poor, knowledge being poor, automatically leads to poor association or poor habits. Now we'll go deeper into Abhideya. We'll briefly touch upon Prayojana today because it's a concluding class. We are not qualified to speak about Prayojana Tattva, but then we will just briefly touch upon the stages of Bhakti to show where it leads and what happens, briefly. Because we can't really go deeper into it, and we'll just touch upon it briefly because we don't have time, and we are also not qualified to speak about this exalted topic. Now, what is to be understood can be understood from Srimad Bhagavatam. There is one Srimad Bhagavatam verse that we will choose. Now, this is the 11th canto. It is 11th canto, 2nd chapter, 47th verse, Srimad Bhagavatam. Archavam eva harave, puyam vaha shraddha vehate, nattad bhakteshu chanveshu, sabhaktaha prakritaha smritaha. Now, I'm sorry, this is one moment. Forgive me, I was wanting to... Yeah, I'm sorry. The verse that I really wanted to speak about was 46 first, and then we'll go into the other verse. So the definition given in Srimad Bhagavatam is 11.2.46, and this is basically an instruction. Ishvare tad adineshu baliseshu dvishatu sa prema maitri kripopeksha yakaroti sa madhyamaha. An intermediate or second-class devotee called a Madhyama Adhikari offers his love to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is a sincere friend to all the devotees of the Lord, shows mercy to ignorant people who are innocent, and disregards those who are envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotees. This is the definition given in Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, this definition of Srimad Bhagavatam is aligned with Vaishnava Dharma. It is aligned with Nitya Dharma. It is aligned with our eternal duty of progress as Vaishnavas back to the spiritual sky. This is the definition of behavior given for a Madhyama Bhakta. A Madhyama Bhakta is one who is completely free from the influence of desire for fruitive activities and the desire for Gyan. Basically, the definition of a Madhyama Bhakta is one who is following the precepts of Srila Rupa Goswami. Anya Bilashita Shunyam Jnana Karmadi Anavratam Anukuliyena Krishna Anushilanam Bhakti Uttama. Uttama Bhakti is defined as that which is completely free from motivation for fruitive activity and for speculative knowledge, and at the same time, this is favorably serving and following basically to please Krishna. Shuddha Bhakti is completely free from the aspects of Gyan and fruitive activity. Now, we can examine our hearts and we would know where we stand when we start examining our hearts. If there are traces of fruitive desires, if there are traces of desires for Gyan, which is to be free and to basically be free from this particular existence, then that particular desire for fruitive activity and Gyan is defined as someone who is a Kanishta. So there are three different levels. There is Kanishta, a person who has fruitive desires and who also worships and associates with motivation for Gyan. Madhyama Bhakta, who is almost free to completely free. And then there is the Uttama Bhakta, who is completely transcendental. So these are three different levels, and these are defined based on the ability to follow the definition of Shuddha Bhakti given by Srila Rupa Goswami. Ability to follow the precepts of Srila Rupa Goswami. Anya Bilashita Shunyam Jnana Karmadi Anavratam Anukulyana Krishna Anushilanam Bhakti Uttamam. This is our definition of Abhideya. This is basically a definition of Abhideya as the quality of a Madhyama Bhakta to be able to relate to the Lord very favorably. In other words, he is in love with the Lord. He is a Bhava Bhakta. A Madhyama Bhakta is a Bhava Bhakta. He is already relating to the Lord. He is engaging in ecstatic emotions and he has ecstatic relationship with Krishna. His Sambandha is complete. His Sambandha Gyan is complete. And he is in the beginning stages of Prema. He has no material desires for fruitive activity when approaching the deity or engaging in the chanting of the holy names. He is not engaging in speculative aspects of gaining knowledge for the purpose of freeing himself from this world. He has no desire to be in this world or the next. He wants to serve because he's already in a relationship. In this very body, he already has a relationship with Krishna. Now, this Anya Bilashita Shunyam is going to define where we are. If someone has fruitive desires, if we are desirers of wealth, if we are desirers of certain kind of comforts, if we have many desires to accomplish in this world, and that qualifies us as someone who is contaminated by Karma Mishra Bhakti. We are following Karma Mishra Bhakti. This is not Shuddha Bhakti. This is called Karma Mishra Bhakti because we are basically interested in fruitive desires. This is Mishra. Mishra means to be mixed. So our bhakti is mixed with the motivation of attaining something. So is our chanting pure in the stage? No, it is contaminated. It is contaminated with the last offense, having material desires even after receiving so many instructions. This is contaminated. This is not Shuddha Nam. This is Aparad Nam. When there is Aparad Nam and there is initial, some basic level of faith, and there are material desires in the heart, then this person is called a Kanishta Adhikari. He is Kanishta. He is Adhikari. He is Adhikari because he has received Vaishnava mantra. And even in Kanishtas, there are different levels. There is someone who has Shraddha, faith, which is called Laukika Shraddha. Laukika Shraddha is worldly faith. Someone, irrespective of the background they come from, be it Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, they would have seen adoration, they would have seen the worship of the deities, they would have seen a few things happening in the world. The family tradition, sometimes in India, they worship deities in the family tradition. They would have probably been initiated into the Vaishnava mantra. They would have been trained in deity worship. So they have this idea of deity being worshipped is very important. However, there is very poor Krishna Sambandha. There is very poor Krishna Sambandha. There is very little faith. There is some sentimental attachment. There is some sentimental attachment, and this sentimental attachment basically, and this particular lack of faith is because there is no Shastric knowledge. There is no Shastric knowledge. There is absolutely no knowledge of the relationship between Krishna and the Jivas. There is no knowledge of the relationship between Krishna and Maya. There is no interrelationship in this particular situation. There is poor Sambandha. This is basically called someone who is a Kanishta Adhikari at the initial stage. He is called a Prakrita Bhakta. he is sentimentally attached. He knows that there is something going on there, and he is worshipping, and he knows there is some kind of opulence and there is some kind of power. He knows all of those. He does not respect, and he cannot distinguish Vaishnavas from Avaishnavas. He cannot distinguish normal people from the Vaishnavas because he can't. He does not have any Shastric knowledge for him to be able to understand things. Then that is the first stage. Then those who start basically understanding Shastric definition of Vaishnavism, they start understanding the deity, they start understanding Vaishnavas. Now there is a Shastric definition of how they are going to conduct life. It has moved from sentimentalism to Shastric definition, but it is still at an initial stage because there are still fruitive desires in the heart, and there is still a desire for being freed from this world. A Shuddha Bhakta has no desire to be freed from this world. They have desire to serve. They have no desire, as a Jnani does, of wanting to leave this planet. They are only wanting relationships, because while being in this body, a Premi Bhakta is already interacting with the senses of Krishna. While being in this material body, a Premi Bhakta is interacting with Krishna. The moment he sees an object of course related to Krishna, this is constant at all times, he would immediately be transported to the spiritual sky. There would be constant visions of Krishna. There would be constant interaction with the residents of the spiritual sky. For a Premi Bhakta, the vision is very different. The deities would be very different in terms of their vision, in terms of what they understand. Srila Prabhupada used to enter into our temples in the early days. And sometimes when he enters into our temples, he would stand before the deity in meditation. And then he would turn around, he would smile on the leaders. He would smile on the congregation members. He would say, you all have been worshipping very well. You all have been chanting very well. Sometimes he would look at the deities and he would turn around quite angrily, saying, why isn't the deity worship proper? Because the deities would complain to him. Yeah? He would know exactly what is going on in the temple just by coming in front of the deities. So this is important for us to know, that the Premi Bhakta's interaction with the deities is as if they're talking. So they're having communication, they're having a lot of interaction with the deity communicates with them, the deity interacts with them, because the level of faith is such that it is at the level of experiences. They are in Goloka. Both their feet are in Goloka. Physically they are here, but both their feet are in Goloka. They are interacting with Krishna in the spiritual realm. When they come, they bring the spiritual realm along with them. It is said that Srila Prabhupada installed not just temples, he installed dham. Yeah? He used to have his entire conception of how a dham should be, and he used to install the dham. Wherever he went and he installed deities, he installed dham. Yeah? He installed a gateway, because his faith was so intense, and it was a Premi Bhakta's faith. Faith at the level of bhava, even after the stage of nishtha and so on, is so deep that they have the ability to connect much deeper. It is not a faith, it is not a question of faith anymore. You need faith when you don't see things. Do you need faith to believe I'm sitting here? You don't, because you can see me. You can see me quite clearly, but if you can't see me, then you need faith. Since they can see Krishna and they can interact with Krishna, there is no question of faith, it is experiences directly. They carry that and they instill it in our hearts. So, the point we want to make here is that at different stages there are different levels of Sambandha Gyan, and at the initial stage, the Sambandha Gyan is poor. The first reason for poor Sambandha Gyan is that the person has no Shastric knowledge and is approaching as a Vaishnava Praya. He is having faith, but then it is sentimental, it is very little faith. This is the first stage. The second stage, from Laukika, which is based on worldly experience, faith then becomes experience and faith based on Shastra. And with this Shastric faith, the person is able to interact and being able to basically develop a deeper level of understanding of Krishna consciousness, but they still possess material desires. So, Srila Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu has given 8 stages. First there is faith, Adav Shraddha, and after Shraddha, one receives faith, one meets the spiritual master, Sadhu Sangha. Then he develops a desire to associate with devotees. Once he develops a desire to associate with devotees, they engage in bhajana kriya, which is engaging in bhajan, engaging in chanting, engaging in the worship of deities, and then serving the devotees. And then, during bhajana kriya, what is the purpose of bhajana kriya? The purpose of bhajana kriya is to purify themselves. Purify themselves so that they could have deeper and deeper sambandha gyan, to reach the platform of Anyabhilashita Shunyam. This bhajana kriya has the objective of Anyabhilashita Shunyam. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, before Jagannath, Baladev Subhadra, before the deity of Jagannath was to come into the Gundicha Mandir, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu entered the Gundicha Mandir. It is said that he removed the big boulders, whatever was very dusty and very obviously dusty, he cleaned it personally. He threw it away. And then he started cleaning and removing smaller particles of dust and dirt from the Gundicha Mandir. And then he started removing even smaller particles of dust from that particular platform. And then he asked them to bring water. He started pouring pots and pots of water to remove the very minute particles of very fine dust from the Gundicha Mandir. Yeah? This is particularly the process of Anartha Nivritti. If we want Krishna to be seated in the heart, and if we want to understand Sampurna Sambandha Gyan, if we want to understand who we are, we want to understand who is Krishna, and we want to understand our relationship with Krishna, we want to understand Krishna's relationship with Maya, we want to interact with Krishna nicely, then this process of Anartha Nivritti is required. Anartha, that which has no meaning in helping us advance in Krishna consciousness. Nivritti, to be free from. Just as Mahaprabhu cleansed large boulders, smaller particles of dust, even smaller particles of dust, even finer particles of dust, this process of Anartha Nivritti, as the cleansing process happens, the devotee progresses in Sambandha Gyan. There's a greater and greater evolution of Sambandha Gyan. What are these big particles of dust that are being removed? What is the nature of such dust? Anybody? What is the nature of such dust? Passion and ignorance. It's passion and ignorance. As one progresses from one stage to the other, there is progression from gross passion and ignorance to mixed goodness, which is goodness, sattva, mixed with passion and ignorance, and then there's greater and greater level of goodness. As one increases their consciousness and they're experiencing higher and higher levels of goodness, they have deeper and deeper ability to understand Shastra and to also steadily chant without aparad. Aparad occurs due to passion and ignorance. As we go higher and higher, there is aparad associated with the mode of goodness as well, but that is not very harmful. One was able to remove it through Harinam very nicely because their progress at that time has become steady. They have the ability to chant nicely. They are able to remove everything. So our entire Anartha Nivritti process is to become free from the negative influence of passion and ignorance and to situate ourselves very firmly in Shuddha Sattva. And when we situate ourselves very firmly in pure goodness, then we have the ability to understand Krishna, understand ourselves and our sambandha with Him. This is why the purpose of sadhana, we call it purification in one sense, but it is purifying our senses so that we can serve Krishna nicely. Not purifying our senses for the purpose of relief. Because senses, when they are purified, can give relief as well. There is relief from the purification of senses. The agitation of senses, disappointments in the heart, grief, all of these are effects of passion and ignorance. So we are not looking for purification of senses for the purpose of relief. We are looking for purification of senses for the purpose of coming in touch with Krishna's senses so that we can chant Harinam. So this is very important for us to understand. The process of Anartha Nivritti is the process of our being able to clear these anarthas, unwanted items. What are those unwanted items? Fruitive desires, karma, and desire for liberation, jnana. When one is completely free from motivation for karma and jnana, Gyan as in wanting to be liberated from this planet. Gyan as in wanting to be purified but with no regard for the deity. This is impersonalism. When one is completely freed from all of this, then one is entering into becoming very fixed with devotional service. This is Nishtha. What happens at the stage of Nishtha? There is great contribution and there is greater contribution into devotional service. What happens at the stage of Nishtha? There is no unsteady business in life. The mind of the devotee at Nishtha is purified enough where their entire life planning process is based on wanting to chant and wanting to absorb themselves in deeper aspects of bhakti. The Panchanga Bhakti becomes a goal in Nishtha. They don't have any other objective. Nishtha is where they become very fixed in wanting the Panchanga Bhakti. They don't have any other objective. This is being fixed. This is being fixed. This is Nishtha. So the goals of life at that point in time are very steady. They have no other goals in life. They want to do this nicely. Jai Shri Shri Panchatattva Bhagwan ki jai. So once one reaches the stage of Nishtha, one is able to advance very fast and reach the stage of Ruchi. What is Ruchi? It is taste. Taste has two different definitions. One has taste when there is accompaniment of very good music. We can understand there's taste. Good music, good kirtaniya, good sound, good everything, I can enjoy Harinam. I can participate in Harinam. This is one level of Ruchi. The second level of Ruchi, just hearing Harinam is enough. Even if the person's voice is bad, there is no proper instruments, there is no proper kirtan, the person is getting deeper and deeper into Harinam. This is the second level of Ruchi, real taste. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he used to choose a kirtaniya or someone who was in the assembly who couldn't sing, and he used to tell him, you sing now. And the reason he could do it is he used to do it was because he used to train his devotees. He used to say, pay attention to Nam. Pay attention to Nam. Forget about whether he can sing well or not. You pay attention to Nam. So this was artificial. He used to force them to listen to Nam because, you can't listen to Nam. You need music. You need kirtan. You need all kinds of wonderful instruments. He used to say, stop all of that. Now listen to Nam. Please listen to Nam. Let us see if you have taste. You see, there's a difference between this. So some of us have a lot of taste for kirtan because it is very, very melodious and pleasing. And then there are those who can engage in kirtan, but they're also very, very keen in chanting japa. Because Nama Ruchi has come, Nama is now tasting, the taste of Nama has come into their tongue. They don't want to stop. Our acharyas are saying that Nama is sweet. It is sweet, it is like sugar candy, it is like putting some kind of very sweet item into your mouth. They are not lying. They are not advertising. They are not marketing. It is a fact. At higher levels of Ruchi, the devotee who is practicing Nama Bhajan, who is chanting Nam, is tasting candy in their mouth. They really are tasting candy. They can't stop. It is so sweet, they are tasting candy in their mouth. This is a fact, devotees. This is not fiction. It is a fact. Even the material mode of goodness, as you go higher, even if it is mixed with passion and ignorance, it is sweet. The material mode of goodness also has a taste. Just as passion has a taste, ignorance has a taste, you can taste goodness. The nature of goodness is to be sweet. What to say of Harinam? Devotees experience sweetness when they are chanting in Ruchi, because now they have real taste and they are able to move forward. Because there is real taste and there is chanting, very sincere chanting, they develop attachment to this chanting, and this is Ashakti. During these stages, Krishna Sambandha has also gone up. Because Krishna Sambandha has gone up, now they realize to a large extent they have developed a mellow. Now they are developing an idea, very firm idea in many ways, of who they are. They start understanding, I am attracted to Krishna as a cowherd boy. I am a Gopa. I am, attached to Krishna in the company of the friends of Srimati Radharani and the servants of Srimati Radharani. I am attached to Krishna as he is my son. I want to assist Mother Yashoda in that service. I am attached to Krishna as a servant in certain ways. This particular mellow of relationship starts coming forth at the stage of Ruchi, Nishtha and Ruchi, in fact. The experience starts coming in. Steady devotional service is happening. Nishtita Bhakti is happening. Information starts coming in. Because where is the devotee now? The devotee now is at the gate of the spiritual sky. He has gone up in the material sky. He has reached the gate of the spiritual sky. He is ready to go there. And he is receiving a lot of information now because he is very close to the spiritual sky. So there's deep taste and now there's attachment. There is very deep attachment. Now the person has become filled with lobha, greed. He starts wanting to accumulate more and more knowledge about his specific rasa relationship with Krishna. And he wants this more and more. He will go and associate with those who are in the same mood. He would go to places of pastimes and he would spend time there because now he has understood who he is in relationship to Krishna at a level of rasa. He has understood that, yeah? That mellow has started coming into his heart. I'm a cowherd boy. I need to do this. Yeah? This happens in Ruchi. Then there's attachment, Ashakti. Ashakti, in one sense, the person has a lot of information at that point in time about their eternal relationship. Information is very important, isn't it? If we don't know who we are, how are we going to act? What is our plan for today if we didn't know who we are? Let's assume we woke up in the morning, we have forgotten who we are. How would you know what to do at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock? What if I had forgotten who I was when I was in the room? Would I have come here at 8 o'clock to give class? Yeah? I would not have. So if we forget who we are, we can't act. If we know who we are going to act nicely. So Krishna Sambandha is practically the most important ingredient that will make us act properly. That is Abhideya. Abhideya requires Krishna Sambandha. If we do not know who we are, we can't act. Our treatment of devotees is based on Abhideya. So there's a big difference. So the Madhyama Bhakta is treating Krishna with love because he loves Krishna. He's a Bhava Bhakta. He is completely free of fruitive desires and a desire for jnana. He is free from that particular speculative knowledge, the need for speculative knowledge, the need for liberation. He is completely free from the need for liberation and fruitive desires. Free. I want to be free of this world. I want to enjoy in this world. Gone. Both desires gone. I want to serve. That desire has become the only desire. I know who Krishna is. Occasionally there is some interaction. The Bhava Bhakta is experiencing ecstasy. When he sees the deity, when he sees the paraphernalia, when he remembers the pastime, when he's hearing a verse, he is experiencing ecstasy. Now that person is a Madhyamadhikari. That Madhyamadhikari will treat Krishna with deep, deep love because he is in love with Krishna. Then he also offers his love to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is a sincere friend to all the devotees of the Lord. Shows mercy to the ignorant people. And then disregards those who are envious of the Supreme Personality of God, the Lord, Godhead and his devotees. This is the behavior of the Bhava Bhakta, the Madhyama Bhakta. This is perfect. So this is the standard of Abhideya. When Shastra says Abhideya, this is the standard of Abhideya. This is the Vaishnava Nitya Dharma, the eternal duty of Vaishnava. When you want to define Abhideya, an activity based on an eternal relationship, this is the definition given by our Shastra. That this is how you relate. This is how you relate. Now, we do not want to get confused. We do not want to give a standard that is not related to Vaishnava Bhakti. The standard which we sometimes see is, it is from Manu Samhita. What do we see here? Dhritihi, Shama, Damo, Stevam, Saucham, Indriya Nigraha, Dhira Vidya Satyam, Dhira Vidya Satyam, Akrodo, Dasakam, Dharma, Lakshanam. The 10 characteristics of religiosity are Dhritihi, contentment, Shama, forgiveness, that is not revenging a wrong, Dhamma, self-control, That is remaining in control of the mind in spite of the presence of allurements. Asteya, honesty. Saucham, cleanliness. Indriya nigraha, withdrawing the senses from sense objects. Dihi, scriptural knowledge. Vidya, education, that is knowledge of the soul. Yeah? Satyam, truthfulness, that is awareness of reality. And akrodha, freedom from anger. These are 10 qualities given in the Manusmriti. These are qualities of one who is following the path of religiosity. Is this Nitya Dharma? Is there any word in this verse which says that he must worship and love Krishna? Is there any word? Did you hear any word? Manusmriti is saying these are 10 characteristics. Some characteristics of how we should behave, some characteristics of how we should behave with others. For example, speaking the truth, behavior with others, honesty, behavior with others. Yeah? Other characteristics like cleanliness, being fixed. Do you see even one line here which says you have to worship the deity of Krishna, you have to serve Krishna, you have to love Krishna? Did you hear that? No. This is rejected because this is naimitika. This is not eternal behavior. Our behavior cannot be based on religiosity of what others are expecting. Our behavior is based on Srimad Bhagavatam's conclusion, and this is Nitya Dharma. Srimad Bhagavatam's conclusion is the Madhyama Bhakta is completely free of any fruitive desire. Anya Vilashita Shunyam, Jnana Karmadi Anavritam, Anukuliyena Krishna Anushilanam Bhaktiruttama. And he is looking very favorably upon and is very friendly with devotees. He is showing mercy to the ignorant. He is ignoring those who are envious. He is indifferent to those who are envious. He loves Krishna. This is our definition of behavior. That is why we should not mix up the two definitions. The definition given in religiosity versus the definition given for a Vaishnava. Don't mix it up because those definitions don't include Krishna Bhakti. This is so important. Because the qualities of a Madhyama Bhakta are the aspiration of the Kanishta Bhakta. The Kanishta Bhakta starts with sentiment, then he develops Shastric knowledge, and he is filled with Shastric knowledge. He is defining everything according to Shastra, but still the development of proper connection to Krishna has not happened. Why? Because there's still some ignorance, there's still some desire for engaging in this world, there are fruitive desires, there's desire for liberation. And then as they progress further and further towards Krishna Bhakti and Sambandha Gyan increases, they go from Anartha Nivritti to Nishta, being fixed. From Nishta to Ruchi, having Nama Ruchi. Define everything through Nama, devotees. Define everything through chanting of holy names. If the chanting of holy names is steady, we are not disturbed while we are chanting the holy names. 100 thoughts are not coming in, then we know that we are fixed. If 100 thoughts are coming in, where we want to accomplish this and we want to accomplish that, and we are fighting with our mind while sitting for japa, understand that we are in anartha nivritti. And we need to free ourselves from passion and ignorance. We need to look at ourselves to free ourselves. Understand that when there is clear nama ruchi and you can wake up and you can jump out of bed at 2 o'clock in the morning. In Vraj it is said people jump out of bed at 2 o'clock in the morning. They are jumping out of bed because they are so eager to taste Harinam. They jump out of bed at 2 o'clock in the morning. And then they chant until 7 o'clock. 5 hours of only japa. They just do some preliminary cleaning and they're sitting down and they're chanting. They do nothing else until 7 o'clock. At 7 o'clock they say, okay, what should I do now? They don't do anything until 7 o'clock because they're chanting for 5 hours continuously. They're only focused on japa. Why? How can you jump out of bed without excitement? How can you jump out of bed if you're not interested? You jump out of bed because you love doing that activity. There's such attraction for Naam, for tasting Naam, for connecting with Krishna, that you jump out of bed. So, what happens when you have to jump out of bed at 2 o'clock? It means you go to bed at 8 o'clock at least, or 9 o'clock. Isn't it natural? You can't jump out if you go to bed at 12 o'clock. There are those who jump out. Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj the Shiksha Guru of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he used to make a statement saying, one who goes to sleep before 12 in the night and wakes up after 4 in the morning is an animal. That was his standard. But what did he do before 12 and after 4? He was constantly engaging in bhajan. So he used to say, don't waste time even sleeping. Just 4 hours is enough. Go to bed at 12. Till 12 o'clock, you are engaging in bhajan. After 4 o'clock, you're engaging in bhajan. This is a different standard. Our standard at least can be, let us wake up so that we can give maximum amount to the process of chanting. Yeah, maximum amount. Now look at the Krishna Sambandha of Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj. This Krishna Sambandha was so high that he used to eat, and then the dogs of Dham, the dogs, small puppies in Mayapur, normally 4 or 5 puppies used to join in and they used to eat from his plate while he is eating. And he used to look at these puppies and he used to say, these are Dhamvasis, these are residents of the Dham, these are Dhamvasis, these are devotees of Gauranga. They are wanting to share prasadam, undisturbed. Everything is connected to Gauranga. Everything is connected to Gauranga. You know, we would chase those dogs away, we would probably not touch the plate, which is the right thing to do, by the way. Don't imitate Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj. We can't imitate him. It is, yeah, don't imitate Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj. But then there's an idea of Sambandha. The Sambandha has become so deep that, you know, everything that is around him, he's a Uttama Bhakta. The Uttama Bhakta Sambandha is so deep that everything is Gauranga. This is Gauranga's Dham. The dust here is Gauranga. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, when he found the Yoga Pit, now we are in Nava Yoga Pit. So when Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur found the Yoga Pit in Mayapur, the confirmation was given by Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj. His servant was so wonderful that he used to carry his guru on his shoulders. He was quite a strong personality. He used to carry his guru, and he carried his guru. His Guru Maharaj was almost, he lived, I do not know, I think 120 years or 140 years, some extraordinary number of years on the planet. The servant was 80 years old or something. He used to carry him on the back. He used to carry him on the back in a basket. So he brought him along with the basket to the Yoga Pit. The moment he saw the Yoga Pit, he just jumped out of the basket and he started leaping, Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, and he was like 100 plus years of age. It was quite extraordinary a sight for all the Vaishnavas to see. The point is, this is Krishna Sambandha. There's nothing else but Krishna Sambandha. The Sambandha Gyan is complete. They are excited, they are in Prema, they are in a different world altogether. There is also another incident which is being given. One day, Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, he was chasing some goats away from his house. So in Mayapur, he was living there and he was chasing some goats. But there were no goats. There were no goats, and he was taking a stick and he was chasing away. And then he was saying that these goats are eating tulsi in Vrindavan. There was a particular orchard in Vrindavan where they were eating tulsi. He was able to see that, and he was chasing them away. So he is completely in the absorption of the Dham to such an extent that he is able to see what is happening in Vrindavan. There's also the other incident of basically Vamsidas Babaji Maharaj, another exalted devotee at the time of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. One day people saw him becoming very angry where he cooked a nice pot of kheer and he threw the kheer away after, broke the pot, and he acted in a manner where he was very angry. He was chastising his deity Gopal. And then the devotees asked him, Babaji Maharaj, why are you chastising him? What happened? I have taken so much trouble to cook for him and he has gone and eaten in someone else's house. So he became very upset with Gopal. He broke the pot, he threw the kheer down. I have taken so much trouble and he has gone and eaten in someone else's house. So he's, so the point is, their absorption, these are Premi Bhaktas. They can't preach. Do we realize they can't really preach because they are not in this world. They can't really discriminate between different levels. But the Madhyama Bhakta, like Srila Prabhupada, he is a Uttama Bhakta, a Premi Bhakta, who has come to the level of being able to discriminate. This is Madhyama Bhakta. So he starts discriminating. So the point of discrimination comes in the Madhyama Bhakta. So this is one step below. So there can be those who are Madhyama Bhaktas, there can be those who have come down from Uttama Bhakti. So our standard of behavior is defined in this particular Srimad Bhagavatam verse, where it is given that this is what a person is supposed to do. You have to become a Madhyama Bhakta. You become a lover of Krishna. You become friendly to the devotees of Krishna. You become merciful to those who are innocent and who receive mercy from you. And then you also are indifferent to those who are envious of Krishna and the devotees. This is our standard of behavior. It differs from what is given as proper religiosity and proper behavior in Shastra, because in that particular situation, there is no Krishna Sambandha. Because there is no Krishna Sambandha, we reject that definition and that aspiration of wanting to be there. There might be wonderful qualities in a person, but there is no Krishna Sambandha, then what is the point? We have nothing to do. So this is the definition of Shastra. So Abhideya is to practically have the ability to engage in the service of Krishna with full Sambandha Gyan, and the greater the Sambandha Gyan, greater the ability of the devotee to interact with others and also with Krishna. And greater Sambandha Gyan comes through strict, proper chanting of Nama. As we proceed from one stage to the other, it comes. Okay, so we will stop here because it's almost 9 o'clock. And we'll see if there are any questions. Yes, Prabhu.
I have a question. You stated that Anya Vilashita Shunyam is Madhyama Adhikari, and yes, I've heard that. I've heard you say. Haribol. So I've heard you saying that Anya Bilashita Shunyam is Madhyama Adhikari and Bhava Bhakti is Madhyama Adhikari. So I'm a little bit confused if you can give some references or something about it.
The references are from Jaiva Dharma of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, where he defines that a Madhyama Bhakta should be free from and act according to the definition of Srila Rupa Goswami. We can read about it. There is an entire section in Jaiva Dharma which talks about Vaishnava behavior. In that particular section, he has given us various quotations, and he has also given us Anyabhilashita Shunyam, Jnana Karmadi Anavritam, and he says very clearly that this is the Madhyama Bhakta's definition, where the Madhyama Bhakta is acting according to this particular verse. Madhyama Bhakta is a Bhava Bhakta. Fundamentally, someone who is completely free from fruitive activity, someone who is completely free from engaging in any jnana, any speculation. Because Madhurya Kadambini gives us different definitions of progress. When you see Madhurya Kadambini's different definitions of progress, it says that when the Anartha Nivritti process is complete, most of the problems are gone. And then at Nishta, some more is taken away. At Ashakti, some more is taken away. At Bhava, it is almost gone. It is almost gone. It is almost complete. In Prema, it is Purna, Sampurnam. It is completely gone. So the Bhava Bhakta being in this particular world, there are still certain touches or certain fractions here where there can be some stimulation from material situations, but then there would be very, very little perception that there can be happiness in this world. Very little perception. Prema, completely gone. So there is a definition of how far you can get in terms of being free from the desire for fruitive activity. There is no desire in the heart of the Bhava Bhakta for fruitive activity. But there's perception that there is possibility that maybe there is something which is out there which can stimulate someone, some perception. The Premi Bhakta has no perception whatsoever that there can be anything in this world. So the definition is given in Madhuri Kadambini of different stages of purity. And also, we also have by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. In Jaiva Dharma, we also see very clearly the definition given by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur of a Madhyama Bhakta is where he is following the tenet of Rupa Goswami of Anyabhilashita Shunyam, Jnana Karmadi Anavritam. His behavior has come because he has reached that stage. He has no objectives in this world. So these are two definitions. Vaishnava behavior. There is a chapter called Vaishnava behavior. You could look up. I do not know if there are translations available or what is available. Which translation? Because different translations have different titles. But there is a chapter called Vaishnava behavior. Sure. What's your name? Very nice. Mahaprabhu, Gaurav Prabhu. Thank you. Thank you. Any other question? Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you very much. Maybe for your blessing, I speak, give something, comment for.
Please, please.
I forget who tell me this very shlok. Madhyam Adhikari have 3 different level.
True.
Kanishta Madhyam, Madhyam Madhyam, Madhyam Uttam.
True. This is in Bhakti Sandarbha. It is in the Sandarbhas of Jiva Goswami.
Kanishta Madhyam is full difference for
True.
Madhyam Uttam. Madhyam Uttam, Anyavilashata Shunyam, like that. I thinking for this.
Very good point. Yes, Srila Jiva Goswami has given 3 levels for Kanishtas, 3 levels for Madhyamas, and 3 levels for Uttama Bhaktas. Yes, Srila Jiva Goswami has given it in the Sandarbhas. It is from the Sandarbha. Yeah, I didn't want to go into too much detail because I was giving a bigger theme, but thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Any other question or comment? Yes, Prabhu. Sorry.
Hare Krishna, is there any connection between chanting and doing service? Because we see that in Preklik, is there kirtan or this Holy Name Festival that we can hardly get some people to help because it's many services around, but a lot of people come to bhajans.
True. A lot of people come for
Kirtan and bhajan.
Kirtan and bhajan,
and you can hardly find some people to help.
This is again a relationship to Sambandha. Srila Prabhupada treated different devotees differently. First we have to understand that his treatment of devotees was not 100% that he expected them to do something. I can give you 2 examples. In the initial stage, initial years of our movement, there was a devotee who was always reading Srila Prabhupada's books. Always. He used to eat prasadam and read. Always. And he used to sit right in the doorway. You know, like this door, he used to sit on the doorway, he used to stretch his foot, and people have to cross. And he used to read. And temples used to have so many services and so many wonderful, they had so many things to do. And this person used to eat prasadam and read. So they had a problem, the authorities. So when Srila Prabhupada came back, this was in the late 60s, they complained to him, saying this person, he just sits and he reads all the time, and he doesn't do any service. There is so much service to do and so much need for doing things. What should we do? Then Srila Prabhupada said he is doing what he is supposed to do. He said he is doing what he is supposed to do because that is his motivation. That devotee who used to do that, he became Kushakrata Prabhu. He translated all the Upanishads, he translated so many different things, from Sanskrit, and he gave translations. He became Kushakrata Prabhu. This is the first, I just want to give 2 examples to understand that sometimes there can be differences, but we will expand more. The second example is there was this devotee in Vrindavan, and this devotee in Vrindavan, Prabhupada disciple, during Prabhupada's time, he was expert in making Mangal Aarti sweets for the deities. Radha, Shyamsundar and Krishna Balaram, he was expert. He really knew how to make those sweets for the deities. So Srila Prabhupada tasted it and he found that he was extraordinary in being able to serve in this way. So he told him, this is your service. You do for all the offerings, for all the deities. So from the morning, Mangalarti, right till Shayanati, that devotee used to be in the kitchen and he will constantly be making sweets and he would have no time to chant, no time to do anything. No time, because he is constantly doing it. So he used to chant internally. And that devotee was quite advanced because it is said that he was very advanced. In his behavior, you could make out his advanced behavior. He could see how he was interacting with the Vaishnavas, how he was dealing with everything. But Srila Prabhupada just wanted him to do that because he found he could do that particular service very nicely. So in some cases in our movement, I'm not answering your question directly, so please be patient. I'm giving you 2 examples. So in some cases in our movement, and I'm not talking everybody, some people will have great inclination for Brahmanical seva. They will have no inclination for other things. Sometimes we also find that some devotees just like to sit and chant. They don't have much inclination for engaging in anything. They come, they sit and chant, and they go away. So these are different categories. But in reality, what does happen is as we progress in Harinam and we are chanting deepens and our understanding of Sambandha deepens, then one also develops an urge to cooperate and to serve with the devotees. So it is also a connection between the quality of chanting. So it is not that we come and then we engage only in activities that pleases us in the temple, which is bhajana, and then we go away. But we can't extend this definition and then judge Vaishnavas. That was the reason why I gave you 2 examples of people who did not do what everybody else did, but then they were considered to be special by Prabhupada. Prabhupada allowed them to do that. So just wanted to answer that. Sure. Anybody else? Any other question or comment? Yes, Prabhu.
Forgetfulness. Sometimes I'm sure my duty, everything, something, understand, and forgetfulness coming. Means I know, understand my duty, my service. So why forget? You speak, I understand, for me this. After 2-3 days, I forget my duty. Why this tamagun in...
Okay, so basically, it's a very interesting question. Shastra defines it in 2 ways. We can understand it through Shastra. The first is that as a devotee advances in Krishna consciousness, and one is still in anartha, nivarti, higher stages where he is giving up all the unwanted material desires. And what would happen is that while he is remembering Krishna, suddenly something material will come into his head and disturb him, and he will forget Krishna and he would walk away. Okay? This is anartha nivriti. But once a person advances beyond anartha nivriti and has developed attachment, ashakti, then he will be engaging in activity which is not directly related at times, but Krishna will come in unannounced. Do you see the difference? He is now engaging in activity which is not directly related, but Krishna is coming in on his own accord because there is attachment. In the first case, he is constantly trying to remember Krishna, but material phenomena comes into his mind very easily. In the second case, he is thinking about a few things about the world, but Krishna comes in on his own. So there are 2 different definitions of advancement. So the point is, you can think about what is happening to you. Are you thinking always about Krishna, and sometimes some things happen where you forget, and then there are certain duties forgotten? Or are you thinking about doing so many different things, but then all of a sudden Krishna comes into your mind and he makes you forget everything? Both possibilities exist. I was just wanting to answer it in a more elaborate way. Memory, Prabhuji, memory, the loss of memory, improvement of memory, it is also a matter of blessings from Guru as well. So if there are problems in remembering certain services, if there are problems in remembering life in general, memory is weak, Srila Prabhupada should be worshipped and mercy can be given by Guru as well. Any comment, Prabhuji?
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu, for wonderful presentations during these days. This is a side topic which you mentioned a few days ago about subtle beings being present in everywhere, every house and that. And many devotees also have this experience, they have some subtle beings hunting them and that. And there is one topic which is subtle beings in the temples, temple buildings. And there is this question, how can such beings be, those who are also like somehow negative or somehow harassing devotees, how they can exist within temple environment where so much yaga is there, deity worship is there, they are immune about the process of bhakti, or they are above that? How can we understand they are influencing devotees within, let's say, temple environment or something like that? Can you comment? Because you're an expert on this field.
No, Prabhuji, I'm not an expert in anything, but I will try and
share your vision.
Yeah, maybe I'll share a couple of thoughts.
Yeah, thank you.
It is actually true. The statement that you make is actually true, that many of our temples, previously the buildings themselves were used for other purposes. Sometimes there were nursing homes, sometimes there were rehabilitation centers, sometimes, they were hospitals and, they were modified and so on. There are so many temple situations where the buildings were used for other purposes. So there was a lot of mode of ignorance which was engaged in prior to our converting into a temple. I remember in South India, those days in the early 80s, ISKCON purchased, or rather it rented, a home of an actress who had vacated the home because there was ghosts in the house and they were haunting everybody. So ISKCON went and took a temple there. Oh, the rent is cheap. Let's start a temple there. They took up a temple, they installed deities, and then there were all kinds of devotees moved in. Now, the problem is as follows. If deity worship is done very, very nicely, then the devotees are also engaging in sadhana very nicely. They don't get affected. It gets problematic when the deity worship becomes weak in the temple, in the kshetra, and it also gets problematic when the devotee's individual sadhana is poor. Then they start getting affected by all of these things, and it is quite common. So it is actually dependent on the level of sadhana. So how do these ghosts exist when we are worshipping the deities? Well, basically, most of these personalities are benign. They are not harmful. They are seeking comfort. Now, where will I go if I seek comfort? I'll come to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's temple. Yeah? If I'm also feeling, that I come here, I'm not frightened. People are not going to chase me away. I'm quite comfortable being here because, people are genuinely quite friendly. They come here and they're trying to seek refuge. When they come here and they're trying to seek refuge, then it is okay. They don't disturb us. In many cases, if Harinam happens, they move on. You see? So they move on as well. But the point I'm trying to make is, this is very common. It is very, very common. It is not a special situation. And the second is, it completely depends on individual as well as collective devotional service, and they become free from this. But it is very common. In fact, it is said that for many reasons, people don't sleep in the temples in India as well. In the night, they don't sleep. Not to disturb the deities, they think that sleeping there could interfere with the pastimes. Sleeping there could interfere with so many things. So people don't spend time at night. They lock everything. They push everybody out. A lot of activity can happen. For that matter, Prabhu, we can also understand it another way. There is such bad behavior even in the Holy Dham. People stay there, they're born there, they grow up there, and there is such bad behavior. Then one starts questioning, how is it possible that they are in the Dham? You see, Srila Nityananda spoke about this to Srila Jiva Goswami, and he was giving an explanation. He said very clearly that there is a thin material cover which is put on the spiritual Dham. And whoever wants to interact with material energy, they interact on that particular layer. Whoever wants to go deeper, they go to the spiritual layer, and they are in the Dham. In a similar fashion, in our temple as well, these ghosts, they are interacting with the material layer. To the extent to which the devotees are materially situated, to that extent they get affected. So that is the other side of looking at it as well. So good Narasimha Yagya will, that is required. Lord Narasimha Dev can remove this. I have seen it all over. I have seen it all over. Wherever I've traveled, I have seen it all over. I have seen it. So this is a common phenomenon. Yeah. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, I have a connected question. I have Gurnitai deities at home, and I learned that they are hollow, you know. So if I was told that if you worship this kind of deities, then ghosts enter inside. So have you some advice what to do now?
Well, when we're buying deities, even in Mayapur, in the shop, there's a possibility of ghosts entering those deities. I'm telling you about the fact that yes, they can enter those deities. They can interact, they can. So sometimes people say, I'm interacting with the deity, and they're thinking they're interacting with the deity, they're interacting with the ghost in certain ways. You know, they're actually having interactions. So it depends on the deity you can purchase there. Because the deity has not been worshipped, the deity has not been installed according to proper standards, these things can happen. I would not worry so much about hollow versus filled. We have this size Jagannath deities who are used in our Rath Yatra cart, and those deities were hollow. They were made a little light with different kind of material. So I would not worry so much about hollow and filled. I would worry about standard of deity worship. If the standard of deity worship is maintained very nicely, the environment is kept very clean, and then there is proper chanting, then that issue doesn't arise. Yeah? Because the deity starts manifesting. Because they can enter. They can enter. There is no doubt. Because it's a form, they can enter and cause disturbance. They can. Yeah, we are full, they enter. They can. They have no problems with hollow or full. Yeah, they have no problems. Yeah, they don't. Yeah, they have no problem with that. Yeah, they can enter and cause issues. See, the point is, Harinam is most powerful. And we have been given processes for following scriptural injunction. So, deities come while we install them. We have worshipped very nicely, they remain and they receive service. If there is too much Vaishnava aparad, deities can leave. And when the deities are leaving a certain kshetra, disasters happen because they are leaving. I have seen such situations where there is too much aparad which is being done, then the deities don't protect, they have already left. The deities are here in the physical, the Archavigraha is here, but then the potency has left. The deities leave, and then disasters start taking place in the temple. So the point I'm trying to make is that it all depends on our quality of bhakti, our quality of standard of service, and the way we, most importantly, standard of service, how we do things, it is the most important thing is Vaishnava interaction. If Vaishnava aparad happens, it is just a matter of time when every other type of aparad will happen. So in the kshetra, there's a need for quality interaction with devotees without aparad. Yeah. But this is a reality and it is a problem as well. It's a problem. So if there is perception, then they do a lot of yagyas. There is a difference between Narasimha yagyas, which are being done slowly, steadily, it starts removing the problems. Yeah. Our Kavacha mantras are also very powerful. You can read the Kavach mantras on a daily basis. It builds up armor. Yes. That was quite a side topic. Yeah. But no concerns actually. We should not be so concerned because we are dependent on Krishna. We should take shelter. Yes. Krishna helps directly and he also helps through his devotees. That is the second standard. When we depend on Vaishnavas, the Vaishnavas also help on how to fix this. You know, in Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Charita, don't we remember this? Where there was this very powerful tantric who wanted to hurt Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He was calling himself Vishnu, then he had two associates who were Shiva and Brahma, and they were basically passing around, and they had powers. They had powers. They could make some ghost enter into someone and cause disturbance. They could send some violent personality into someone else and cause disturbance. They could kill. You know, sometimes they could fix the problem. You know, most cases it was very, very superficial. What was it which Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur did? He gave us a precept. He basically sat down and read Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam's message in Srimad Bhagavatam is so powerful that if it is properly adhered to and Srimad Bhagavatam is absorbed and the person is coming in touch with Srimad Bhagavatam, all this just disappears. That was a precept. Personally, I have experienced one such thing where someone approached me with problems. And the problems they had was that they were basically possessed and they were having issues in the house where there was a lot of disturbance in relationships amongst people in the house. There were a lot of fighting, relationship issues were there. And when they approached me for help, I requested the local devotees to go to their house. I said, take a set of Srimad Bhagavatam, gift them, let them buy the set of Srimad Bhagavatam, install Srimad Bhagavatam in a very nice way, you doing a nice yagya, and then read Srimad Bhagavatam there, and instruct them on how to read Srimad Bhagavatam. The problem went away within 2 or 3 days. So what I'm trying to say is that we have many ways to tackle all these things. And every one of these is the anga of the bhakti. If you follow the anga of bhakti, then everything else just tackles itself. But these are general observations. There's also specific ways to deal with it based on the consciousness of the individual. Sometimes possessions of these entities are so deep that the person does not have consciousness enough to act and to remove the problem on their own. Then they need external help. Yeah? So there are ways and means to remove it from external help as well. It's a nuisance. But how to prevent all of this? Constantly adhere to tenets of devotional service. Then we are protected. Then there's no fear. Any question or comment at last? Last comment? Yeah. So thank you very much for having us for these 4 days. I hope there was something which was useful that was shared. I tried my best based on this, whatever little realization we have. Thank you for this opportunity. We loved our stay here, and we really appreciated the very nice, friendly interaction with all the devotees. And it was very much a very good, positive experience that we are carrying in our heart. We'd love to come back, hopefully. If, yes, yes, we would come. We surely want to come back. If all of you, give us the permission to come back, we'll come back, and we will encourage. We would interact with you. So thank you very much for having us. Srila Prabhupada ki. Jai. Sri Vrindavan ki. Jai.